There comes a time in almost every relationship when one person starts to take the other for granted. It happens slowly, almost invisibly. At first, she notices the way you care, the effort you put in, the little details you remember. She enjoys the consistency, the loyalty, the patience you bring. But over time, the very things that once impressed her start to blend into the background. The daily texts, the reliability, the constant availability, they stop feeling special and start feeling normal. And here's the danger. When something becomes normal, it risks becoming invisible. She begins to assume you'll always be there. She assumes your kindness has no limit, your patience has no boundary, your presence has no condition. And in that assumption, she stops appreciating it. But the Stoics remind us of a profound truth. Everything is temporary. Nothing is guaranteed to stay. Not love, not comfort, not even life itself. When you understand this, you don't cling to anyone's recognition. You don't need their validation to know your worth. And that shift is exactly what changes the entire dynamic. Because the moment you stop giving endlessly without measure, the moment you decide that respect is a requirement, not an option, is the moment she begins to notice what she lost. The man who was once always available suddenly has boundaries. The man who once tolerated neglect now chooses silence. The man who once tried to prove himself no longer feels the need to prove anything. At first, she may be confused. She may even test you, expecting the old version of you to come running back. But when she sees that your calm, stoic detachment is not an act, but a way of being, that's when the missing begins. Because nothing is more attractive, nothing more haunting than realizing you overlooked a man who didn't actually need you to complete him. It's not anger that makes her miss you. It's not revenge or bitterness. It's the quiet, unshakable strength you show when you refuse to be taken for granted any longer. That strength creates space, and in that space, she begins to remember. She remembers the effort. She remembers the comfort. She remembers the peace she once had by your side. And suddenly, what was once invisible becomes undeniable. The irony is that people often realize the value of something only after it's no longer within reach. While you were there, offering consistency and loyalty, she may have compared you to what else was available. More excitement, more attention, more temporary thrill. But when you step back, when your silence replaces your constant words, when your presence is no longer guaranteed, that's when she begins to feel the emptiness. This is the essence of Stoicism in relationships. You never beg to be valued. You never lower yourself just to maintain someone else's comfort. Instead, you stand firm in the truth that your worth is not diminished simply because another person failed to see it. You know that the world does not revolve around being chosen. It revolves around how you choose to live. And here's the part she didn't expect. Your detachment is not coldness. It's not punishment. It's clarity. You've realized that peace is more important than proximity. That being respected is better than simply being around. And the moment she sees that you've moved into this mindset, something shifts inside her. Suddenly, the little things she once brushed off begin to resurface in her memory. The way you listened when no one else did. The way your words carried calm instead of chaos. The way you didn't just show up in her life. You grounded it. She may have thought she could replace you, that options were endless. But in the quiet of her own thoughts, she discovers that depth is rare. Options are plenty, but replacements are few. What she begins to miss is not just you. It's the man you became by letting go. A man who doesn't chase. A man who doesn't argue for his value. A man who doesn't need to prove what she should have recognized all along. That absence becomes her mirror, and in it she sees not just you, but the version of herself that failed to appreciate you. This is why Stoicism teaches us to anchor our sense of worth within, not in how others treat us. Because when you are unshaken by neglect, when you stand tall in silence instead of collapsing into desperation, you leave an imprint. And long after you've walked away, that imprint echoes louder than any words you could have spoken. Regret doesn't usually arrive with a loud knock. It sneaks in quietly. It shows up late at night when her phone is silent, when the noise of constant attention doesn't feel as satisfying anymore, when the shallow conversations with others fail to provide the depth she once dismissed. That's when the contrast hits her. She begins to replay moments with you in her mind, moments she barely noticed before, but now they sting with weight. She remembers how your patience calmed her storms, how your discipline made her feel safe, how your presence carried a strength that didn't need to be announced. At the time, it may have seemed ordinary. Now, compared to the chaos of others, it feels extraordinary. What was once ignored suddenly becomes the standard by which she compares everyone else, and they all fall short. This is when missing you turns into a kind of awakening. She realizes that while she had many voices fighting for her attention, she overlooked the one voice that never begged, never competed, never tried to be more than authentic. She realizes that her comfort made her careless, that she assumed your consistency was infinite, when in truth, you were giving it freely because you chose to, not because you had to. And here's the power of Stoicism. You didn't withdraw to punish her. You withdrew to protect your peace. That difference matters, because your absence isn't rooted in bitterness. It's rooted in self-respect. And that's what makes her miss you even more. Anyone can disappear out of anger, but only a man of principle can walk away without hate, carrying himself with quiet dignity. That dignity is what lingers. It lingers in her mind when she scrolls through shallow messages. It lingers when she realizes others want her attention, but none offer her stability. It lingers when she remembers that you never needed to be chosen to feel complete. And that realization creates a kind of void, because once someone has felt the steadiness of a stoic man, everything else feels unstable. The regret grows not because you left, but because she now understands why. And that is a pain sharper than absence. It's the pain of knowing she had something rare, and she failed to value it. The truth is, when a woman takes a man for granted, she assumes he will always remain the same. She assumes his love will keep pouring, his patience will never run out, and his presence will never fade. But when a stoic man chooses himself, when he builds his life around principle rather than need, that assumption is shattered. He grows, he evolves, and he does not look back with bitterness, only with clarity. And it is in this clarity that she begins to miss him the most, because she doesn't just miss who he was when he was with her, she misses who he became after she lost him. Stronger, more focused, more grounded. The man she once overlooked has now become the man others admire, and that reality cuts deeper than silence ever could. What she misses is not just a person, but the peace he carried, the stability, the rare strength of someone who could walk away without collapsing, someone who didn't need to control her choice to feel whole. That kind of man lingers in memory because he is not easily replaced. But here is where Stoicism shines. It is not about making her regret. It is not about winning her back. It is about living in alignment with your own values, so that whether people recognize your worth or fail to, your life remains steady. If she misses you, that's simply the echo of your strength. If she regrets losing you, that's simply the price of overlooking what was rare. So do not live to be missed. Live to be whole. Do not live to be chosen. Live to be true to yourself. For when you do, you will never be taken for granted again, because your value no longer depends on anyone's recognition. It is rooted within you, where it can never be lost.